Much like Michael Jordan at the end of Space Jam, Luffy has unlocked the true power of the Gum Gum fruit, or should I call it the human fruit. Mythical type model Nika. I'm not calling it that. And the way that it was phrased by the Gorosei, you could refer to it either way, so I'm still calling it the Gum Gum fruit. But the awakening of Luffy's power has essentially given him the Toon Force ability, and much like classical cartoons such as Merry Melodies, Silly Symphonies, and Looney Tunes, his overly animated appearance and skills, rubber hose in nature, is also accompanied by the beat of a drum. The drum of liberation, with the ability to stretch, contort, and reform his body in multiple ways, even being able to extend his elasticity to the area around him was a little bit of effort. It's not quite the bounce house people were expecting. But Luffy's power shows almost no limit. But is this true? And will it be enough to beat the strongest creature in the world? Let's find out. I love this color spread. I love Dad Jinbei driving the kids to have some fun at the amusement park. Zoro, for some reason, just hanging out outside. I love that Robin is extending her hands in order to catch Luffy's hat that both Usopp and Frankie were originally going to grab. Oh, and also Brooke. Brooke was trying too. It kind of looks like Nami's about to help out with... are they running like a food truck or something like that? Because Robin is also wearing an apron. And good on Sanji for being able to multitask, holding the dessert in one hand, grabbing Usopp in another, and oogling Nami all at the same time. And I love that the banner reads, Sea of Liberation. Oda is going all in on the freedom aspect. But honestly, there are multiple cover pages from previous chapters where there's stuff like liberation, let freedom ring, stuff like that. So Oda's had the whole idea of freedom in his mind for a long time, which makes sense. I mean, freedom was always the idea, the freedom to go off an adventure. But that's enough of that. Let's get into the real action. It's chapter 1045, Next Level. Love it. This is Kaido talking up on the dome of the Onigashima. I was certain that you were dead. And Luffy's just bouncing around. Oh, he has transferred his rubber to the area. I don't know if that's from deflecting Kaido's attack or he's just doing it in general. But he's just bouncing on the ground. He's just like, and Luffy says, me too. And Kaido, looking all serious, says, given that you're transferring your rubber powers to other things, I suppose I can interpret this as the awakening of your paramecia powers. But something doesn't add up. And as Kaido goes to bite him, he says, body transformations like that are the trademark of Zoan powers. Actually, that also brings up another question. Zoan typically aren't able to manipulate their surrounding areas like a paramecia. That does raise a question. Paramecia usually aren't able to do that. Alter their body like that to such a degree. Like, to have a transformation like that. They usually only manipulate others in the world around them, or they're only manipulating their body. But Zoan don't manipulate the world around them like that. That's peculiar, now that I'm actually thinking about this. But then again, Katakuri had a special paramecia that made it seem like he was a Logia, pretty much. So maybe Luffy also has a special type of Zoan fruit. Very interesting. Alright, Kaido goes in and bites down on Luffy. Luffy's like, why you? As he holds on to Kaido's teeth, trying to keep the jaws open. But Kaido manages just and gulp him down. But Luffy isn't going down easy as he's bouncing around in Kaido's insides in a zigzag pattern. And he goes, gum gum balloon! And just inflates inside of Kaido. Oh my god. And Kaido's just distraught as he's just like, you little... And it just keeps inflating and inflating. And he's a full-on balloon, even floating up in the air, much to the shock of Yamato and Momonosuke. Yamato says, what is that? What's happening? Momonosuke says, I don't understand. Kaido is getting fatter. And Yamato goes, was that always one of his forms? I think she's talking about Luffy. Okay, and this is something I was wondering too. Because Kaido looks at his belly, he's just like, curses, what's wrong with me? My body isn't made of rubber. So the rubber properties are even extending to the people around him. That's weird. And Luffy inside of Kaido's just like, oh, I see 2 lights. There are 2 lights. And they're Kaido's eyes as Luffy just pops through Kaido's eyes in a cartoony fashion, grabs onto Kaido's nose and goes gum gum, rocket escape rocket I mean, and just goes rocketing out of Kaido's mouth. But it's just like, how did you do that? That just raises even more questions. And then Luffy, who's still in his balloon form, just expels all the air inside and goes rocketing into the clouds as Kaido looks up, and it looks like Luffy just went in to the storm. And then you hear gum gum, and Yamato and Momonosuke look up and say, what? And, Jesus fucking, what the fuck? Is that perspective, or is that that is real? So kind of like in a Strong World, where he dipped his toe up into the cloud and came in with the Gigant Thor axe, or Giant Thor axe. He's done the same thing, but with his entire self, and he just calls it Gum Gum Giant, as a giant lightning Luffy comes rocketing down from the heavens about to stomp on Kaido. But I love that Kaido just doesn't even look fazed by it. He's just like, huh. He's shocked, but he's just like, huh, I wasn't expecting that. Yamato's just like, what is that? Momonosuke says, why do I hear Luffy's voice coming from there? And Yamato's just shocked, like, is that him? But before Luffy can do anything, Kaido just comes around and bites his midsection. Luffy yells out, and then he goes gum gum and grabs onto Kaido's head, grabs onto, I think I know what he's gonna do. His gum gum jump rope, and he starts jumping rope with Kaido. This is some Tom and Jerry shit. This is wild. And they go plummeting towards the ground. And Kaido, again, not even fazed by what's really happening, goes blast breath. And hits Luffy point blank. And Luffy goes, yo! Yamato looks on horror and says, oh no, he took the full brunt of the blast breath. And Luffy is charred black. But he's still a cartoon, so he just gets mad and angry and says, that does it, as he corrects his momentum, and he just goes running all the way up, running on air. Jesus. What? Okay, so Luffy is winding up his fist, going gum gum, and Kaido's in his hybrid form and goes, conqueror of the 3 worlds, Ragnaroku, and comes in with his club. And a giant version of Luffy's head just gets bashed through the skull dome, going, yeah, with his eyes popping out. All the Beast Pirates are just like, what? Holy shit. And even Law, Kid, Chopper, Nami, Tama, their eyes just bug out of their heads too. I don't know. Luffy's powers must have the ability to affect others as well. And Luffy's head hits the hole and he just squeezes it back through. And his giant form just deflates. And Kaido's just standing there and he says, it's like something from a comic strip. I love how unflappable Kaido is in this situation. Like, despite all the weird and bizarre stuff that has happened, Kaido's just like, that is weird. Okay, well, Kaido looks like Luffy's running out of steam, and Kaido's just standing there, saying, well, that was a very entertaining show, but you've reached your limit, haven't you? You cannot defeat me. And Luffy goes, shut up! Who says I'm at my limit? And then he just deflates and depowers. And okay, so the color just comes back to him. And Luffy just deflated and shriveled and goes, I'm all tuckered out. And Kaido's just like, who are you? Oh, but then he kind of drops to a knee and is just like, Luffy says, oh yeah, I was dying before this. Wow, it takes a lot of energy. Okay, so that form does have its drawbacks, so that's good to know. Kaido says, "You have my assurance. After you die, someone will tell the tale of your great battle." And Luffy says, "I don't need any of that. Once you're dead, the only thing that's left is bones." Oh, it's like the Bink Sake song. You'll leave nothing but bones. I only remember that because of Ohara. Artor at the Library of Ohara. He made his big, what is the One Piece video. And he also made a video talking extensively about Bink Sake. Yamato's looking over and says, "It really is Luffy. It just doesn't look like him because his hair and clothes turned white." Okay, so all of him is totally white. He's whitewashed. That's weird. So all of him becomes white? Like, looking back, it looks like his sash is the only thing that's colored. Momonosuke says, "But his voice is nearly dying out." But Luffy, he gets up in his stance, steam pouring off of him. He says, "This can't end yet. Momo, Tama, Kinemon, Pedro." Oh, he talked about Pedro. And Kaido smiles and he's like, "Woo-roo-roo-roo-roo. Careful, or you'll die." Ooh, so Luffy is really pushing himself to the biggest extent of his limits doing all this. And Luffy, radiating haki, says, "You actually think I'm afraid of that? Come on, Heart, hit that beat. Give me the downbeat." The drum of liberation. And as Kaido comes up behind him with his club, "Very well then. Hey, bada bada bada, swing!" Luffy says, "Yeah, that's the sound," as he goes back into his Gear 5th form. And Yamato cries out, Look out, Luffy!" Luffy notices the club. Oh, jeez, and he doesn't dodge it. But I guess his rubber kind of absorbed the impact, because it just reshapes his head. He kind of looks like the sun from Soul Eater. Yamato is shocked. Luffy goes racing away. Kaido brings his club down on Luffy again, but then the ground, because of Luffy's ability, just dips in, again softening the concussive blow. Luffy goes springing out, flattened like a pancake though. Like when you see the cartoon characters get smashed on the head and they form an accordion, it's kind of like that. Luffy goes flying to a rock, uses the fact that he's all scrunched down. He goes 3, 2, 1, 0 and launches himself at Kaido. And then he starts spinning. Oh, it almost looks like the Gum Gum UFO. It's almost like Luffy's arms are spinning around while the rest of his is in place. Kaido's ready for him and says, "What does all of this mean?" He turns all white. He uses the color of armament and the Supreme King and can transfer his power to other things. I've never seen such freewheeling combat before. And then he shouts, "There is no one in the world who can defeat me." Whoa, did Luffy's hand go through Kaido's head? just socked him so hard his hand went through his head. Yeah, Kaido's face is just... Much to the shock of Momo and Yamato, I'm like, I'll be honest, it's really hard to tell if Luffy's winning. And as Kaido gets knocked back, it looks like Kaido pretty much got knocked out. And Luffy says, "Isn't this fun, Kaido?" Oh, Luffy is like full on a match, like soulmate for Kaido. It's just like, yes, fun combat. I gotta tell you, it's really hard to tell if Luffy's winning. I mean, he's doing a great job. Like, he's really socking it to Kaido. But it's really hard to tell if he's winning, because Luffy's rubber and tune properties seem to not only extend to the area around him, but to other people to a certain capacity as well. With their eyes bugging out of his head, I thought it was just happening to Kaido for some reason last chapter. But no, Luffy, he has an effect even on his opponent. Because if Luffy had actually punched clear through Kaido's head, he'd be dead. Ooh, is it something almost like what he was trying to learn before? Beating past Kaido's defenses. And he found like his own unique way of just getting through Kaido's tough hide. It's wild that he hit him through the head though. And I love how Kaido's face just... But there is a method to the madness though, and that's the thing that kind of gets me, because it's like, Luffy uses his ability to kind of soften some of the blows that come his way. And it almost looks like he lessens the blows by just knowing that they're coming. And like rubber, he rebounds. And he can regain his power by getting his heart to beat in a certain rhythm. So you do see the properties, and even when he was running on air, you see the properties of Gear Second, the whole manipulating his heartbeat. He's constantly using his hockey in a kind of Gear Fourth-like fashion, and the elasticity of his body, that's Gear Fourth. And then you see him turning giant and all that, that's Gear Third. Like, Gear Fifth combines every element of all the other gears to their like peak for like max manipulation of Luffy's body and the things around him. But it's not like he can't be harmed though. I really do wonder what's his limit though. And does Luffy's ability extending even to his enemies, is that a good thing or a bad thing? What turns the tide of a zany battle? And yeah, that's the only thing I really have to question. What decides the battle? Because if Luffy's even extending the rubber properties to his enemy, there's a lot of things that Kaido ends up being able to survive too. But Luffy isn't one for going out of his way to kill his opponent. There's so many questions I have now. It's fun, it's wacky, it's silly, it's cool. But there are things that actually even tie into the One Piece world. All these things we've seen, Moonwalk, the Geppo, Awakening and how it goes throughout your terrain. But the Awakening acts as multiple Awakening, because Luffy's body transforms like a zone. He's able to manipulate the area around him like an awakened Paramecia, but he's even able to manipulate his opponent's body as well? That's wild. And it begs the question, would people other than Kaido be able to stand up to this? Oh yeah, when I was thinking about exceptions, Marco feels like an exception too. Because though he's a zone, his body acts very much like a Paramecia. I mean, a Logia, I meant. I'm glad that even Kaido's trying to figure all of this out. It's just like, your abilities do not obey the rules. Transferring your rubber power to other things, I suppose I can interpret this as the awakening of a Paramecia, but something doesn't add up. Body transformation like that are trademark of zone powers. He's right. Like, he was even calling it out with Gear 4. Something's odd about the way your rubber works. But of course, Luffy's not going to dwell on that too much. I'm fascinated by what'll happen next chapter, though. And I'm really starting to understand why Oda was so ready to tell this story. Just waiting to get to this part. And he is going all in. He must have had these pages ready for a while, because he's releasing them these chapters are coming one after the other. It's insane. But tell me your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Do you also think there's something peculiar about Luffy's ability? I mean, you'd have to, even Kaido calls it out. But it really does beg the question, what is this power? Is it just that it's an exception to the rules, or is it something deeper than that? I'm curious to hear from you. But hey, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye. That's all, folks. I can't do the Porky Pig thing. I'm not that good.